I guess we are live now, sir. Good evening to everyone and everyone present here. I, Diganta Roy, pursuing my BA in Mass Communication from St. Mary's College, Yusufgada. I welcome everyone to this vibrant platform of Pandemic Perspectives. So, Pandemic Perspectives is a week-long e-conclave by the students of the alumni of the Department of Social Sciences and Communication. The main objective behind this event is to ensure the transition of academic ideas during this testing period. I heartily welcome our HOD Sir Joseph Christados, my fellow viewers, and our faculty members. The speaker of the day is Yalla Harsha Sai, who is a native of Hyderabad city. He was introduced to St. Mary's family in the year 2009. He did his intermediate and also graduation course from St. Mary's. Later on, he pursued masters in mass communication and journalism from Sarojini Naidu School of Communication, University of Hyderabad. He shared short stints with media organizations such as the New Indian Express, NDTV, and Asian News International before joining the ITE and C Department, Government of Telangana. Presently, he works with the office of KTR. Here, he will share his opinion on COVID pandemic and its aftermath in his personal capacity. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. So before we jump into the topic, which is the opportunities which we see in the post-COVID world, I would like to give a present scenario, present days situation. Let's take a stock of what exactly is happening in the world right now. So I'd like to take you guys through the numbers which we have, which are going on right now in the world. So right now, presently the world is slowly limping back to work, and we can say that there's a slowdown in number of cases which are positive cases which are being showing up, and at the same time the death rate is also, new death cases are also very are drastically reducing throughout the world, which is a very good thing. And when it comes at present there are closely about 51 lakh people which who are turned out to be positive throughout the world, and at the same time about 3.33 lakh deaths have been recorded globally. When it comes to our country, India, about 1 lakh 40,000 cases, positive cases have been registered in the country, and close to 4,000 people have succumbed to this virus. Though the numbers are high, at the same time we are as a country trying to get back to business, and we are in our fourth lockdown, which is almost about to end in a week. And until now, the numbers which I have mentioned about are just the human cost for this virus. We have drastically our industry, our economy globally, and also at a country level has drastically hit, and which has to be fixed in the coming days. So when it comes to industries and business, this is a very major sector which will decide the economy of our country. And the global so basically the coronavirus pandemic is such a thing that it has left very visible scars on our Indian industrial sector. Uh, Due to the lockdown, due to consecutive lockdowns, in fact, since past 2 months, we as a country are under lockdown with a few restrictions, with few relaxations coming up in the last few days. But this has impacted drastically on our supply chain system and also our manufacturing industry. So the economy and the social impact is affected very seriously, and this is one of the worst global economic decline we have seen in history. So this is something which is very serious, and at the same time, not to scare you guys, but this is how I would like to see this is as a major opportunity for us as a country to grow and evolve beyond all these challenges which this virus has brought in. So when it comes to revamping our growth, revamping our industry, what is very important is that we need to know where we stand as a country globally. So right now, the entire world depends upon China for most of the manufacturing products and also industries, because they have a lot of industrial parks. But right now, a lot of countries and industrial heads, global leaders across the world are looking out for an opportunity to relocate their businesses from China. And in such a scenario, India plays a major role, because we have labor which comes at a lesser cost compared to other countries, and it will be very easy for them to use our skilled manpower for these global industries. So, and at the same time, what we as a country have is a strong technological and digital impact, you know uh, which we have been taking up in last 5 years due to various national programs such as Digital India and various similar programs. So we have a strong technical impact. We have a strong technical presence in our country, technological presence, and at the same time, we are globally very well connected to the financial markets across the world. So these are so based on these, we have to take up these things as our advantages and start working upon having our own creating own opportunities to grow globally. So India is basically a gold mine for various investors, and this is something which is like earlier it used to worry us, but today we should feel very fortunate, because we are fortunate for having such a huge population. And we are the second largest populated country in the world, uh, second only to China, that is. And not just having the numbers, but we also have so this is something which what we should cherish, is that 50% of the population population of this country is below the age of 25, and more than 65% of the population is below the age of 35. So this is like the quality of population which we have. Like, this is the working sector. People of this age are usually the ones who are coming into the industrial sectors and various working sectors, and they are trying to uh, you know have this cycle of economy continue without any hassle. So we not just have population as an advantage, but we also have a quality population in our this thing, which we can which using which we can bring a lot of opportunities to our country. So, and moreover, it is expected that by 2020, end of 2020, the average age of average age of an Indian would be around 29. So this is age is on our factor. So age is on us. So I think this will be a major factor for us to play a major role in bringing opportunities and utilizing these opportunities in form of giving quality manpower. And at the same time, low cost of data globally is something which we have to uh, you know uh, pay a lot of importance to. And also, when it comes to technology, as I have already mentioned, we are the second largest smartphone population in the world. So this is something which will again play in our favor, because now you can see that globally, physically we are very much cut from each, we are not in connection with each other, but virtually we are connecting, some, like right now also we are connecting virtually, and this is something which has opened new windows to new opportunities. So digitalization and opportunities which come with digitalization are playing a major role in opening new ventures into our country. And at the same time, roughly about 600 million monthly active customers across the Indians. Around 600 million Indians are actively using internet. which again states that we are a major players in technology and internet industry. So while battling this COVID-19, while we are still continuing to battle this, there are a lot of industry leaders, politicians, and strategists who are very much sensitive towards creating an opportunity during this pandemic and also after this pandemic. And at a global level, there's a very clear indication that all the companies are doing business in China are now looking out for various other locations, as I said. And India can again be a strong player and also evolve as the best investment destination globally. So the potential we have already talked about the potentials which India has as technology and the age factor which we have on our side. So India can take the lead and present itself as the most compelling destination to receive overseas investments. You know, which will improve our economy as a country. So, given the fact that there are initiatives like Make in India campaign, which has been active since past 5 years, and you know, and in last 5 years, India has reduced the corporate tax rates significantly, and India's investment has led to has attracted a lot of people from outside also because of the corporate tax relaxations. So at the same time, while while the pandemic is still on, we as a country should also realize the fact that our reforms are something which we need to work upon. Uh, so basically, we need to have more and more clear business policies, investment policies, and beyond that, we need to have investor-friendly policies for the investors to come and create any sort of business over here, which will lead to more job opportunities, direct and indirect job opportunities in our country and in our states, basically, which will give a lot of employment opportunities to today's youth. For example, in our state in Telangana, we have this industrial policy called TS iPass. Through TS iPass, I mean, any industry can come into the state, and this is one of the only states which has this policy. And through TS iPass, any industry can come, invest in this state, and get approvals within 15 days. So this was the policy which was brought in by the industrial department, and this is something which has brought a lot of success and a lot of in form of business to the state. So uh, the other states also probably should try to imbibe such policies, industrial policies, which will bring in a lot of industries to our country and create employment opportunities. I think this is the time that for the country to come up with new reforms, new industrial friendly reforms, and so at the same time, apart from the reforms, we also need to create industrial manufacture, industrial infrastructure on a mission mode, because countries where the developed countries like US, UK, China, Russia, they can set up an industrial, they can set up industries. They'll just take a week to set up an industry, but whereas a country like ours takes a little much more longer time than a week to set up industries, mm, because of the infrastructure which we have. We are still developing our infrastructure, we still don't master it. So this is the time again for us to, for if we want to grab uh, global opportunities, this is the time for us to realize the fact that we need to strengthen our infrastructure also includes roads, connectivity, business opportunities, and also uh, at the same time also global connectivity, like how geographically how well connected are you to the other countries and other states. So that plays a major role, which can be done, which should be done for us to grab these opportunities, utilize these opportunities in our favor. And when we also talk about empower, we need to have these empowered strategy groups. When I say empowered strategy groups, uh, it means having a group of people, who influential people who can take decisions. Something like, we need to have these methods to revive the manufacturing sector, as well as attracting new investments to the country. For this to happen, we need to have people who can take bold steps, who can, who are more practical, and at the same time bring out these bold take these bold decisions in implementing our policies. So this is very important for us. And this requires a national census, as well as working on the best minds. We need to have the best minds and talent available after. It's not just about taking policies, reviving policies and reforms, but at the same time we also need to have the best minds and talent available for for us as a country to implement our policies. So an empower strategy group comprising of something around the central government representatives, a few state government representatives, industry leaders, economists, politicians, policy experts, they can be kept at task to bring out these best policies and also to work upon them. So the globe, and at the same time we are talking about the global recession. Recession was supposed to come anyways. It was it was around the corner, but because of the COVID 19, the recession has come little early, and it has created more damage to the economy. So this is something which we it has already happened. So we need, right now we need to work upon uh, evolving beyond this and start getting, improving our business. So the global recession is something which was supposed to happen, and it has happened already. So the COVID-19 crisis will be a catalyst to basically to unprecedented changes in every industry. There is no exception to any industry. Every industry will be impacted by this. So every industry will be forced to bring in new reforms, new to bring in a lot of reconstructions, and in order to transform into a stronger player and emerge in this post COVID world. So you can't say that you can't be rigid anymore. You need to you need to think out of box. You need to be open to various things, change your perspective. As a firm, as also we as as citizens, we need to be more open towards various things. We can't have rigid ideologies and rigid minds, which will stop us from you know which will close doors, and which will not basically give us which will not give us these opportunities. If you want to utilize these opportunities, you need to be more open to everything. When I say everything, literally everything. uh, Basically you need to imbibe everything which comes your way and try to work upon it. So that one of the major things is the digital transformation. So the digital transformation, basically it should be aiming at creating higher capacities to leverage the possibility and opportunities that the new uh, digital age technology represents. So basically, the new digital age technology is something which has to be given a lot of importance in our day-to-day life. And then it is very this is something which is not difficult. We just need to be open to this and accept the technology the way it is uh, evolving. We need to evolve along with the technology to use it. So this will enable all of us to uh, serve the things which we are doing, like in whichever business we are. Let's say that we have a set of target customers. So this will enable them to serve this will enable us to serve the customer better, to and have a business run. So it can be an organization, it can be a college, it can be an industry, it can be a government, it can be anything. A small MSME group se leke, it can be a major global industry. Everyone has to accept this change and accept the new technology and accept this digitalization. It's only then we can be open to new evolutions which will come our way. And at the same time, we have seen, this is something I'm sure this is very generic, but I would like to stress upon this new culture of work from home. uh, this was I mean, earlier it was there, but not so significantly. But today, uh, since the lockdown, in fact, every firm has given, except the manufacturing industry and construction industry. Apart from that, the IT sectors and various other government organizations, government departments also have given work from home option to their employees. That is, this is something which is very new, uh, which we have accepted with the situation. Basically, to have a business, we need to run the show. We can't say that, okay, there is COVID, so it's something which is dangerous, so we need to sit at home and do nothing. It's not possible, because we need to learn to live with the virus. We need to learn, not just learn to live with the virus, but also work and continue have a business run. So this is something which has played a major role, the work from home concept, the culture. So which has also in fact given um which has turned out to be a positive thing for the organizations, because it will have their employees work for a longer time, more longer time, in the sense the employee need not have to invest his time in traveling to the office and getting back home. He can rather invest the same time in his work, and giving out more quality output. So uh, there's this one thing which is advantageous with the work from home culture, and also at the same time occupancy. Every company, big or small, or any company which has potential, any potential to do business, is saving about 50% and beyond that on office occupancy, rents, leases, and they're saving a lot of money basically, which means that having their business run, and at the same time they're having their business run at half the cost of what they earlier used to do. So this is a very new culture which has come in during this pandemic, and I'm sure this is going to continue even once things settle down. This is a very uh, new culture to be accepted on such a long scale, and I'm sure most of the industries will implement this even after things settle down very soon, only to you know uh, not you can see this as a cost cutting, and probably use the same finances for better implementation of their business. So this is one thing which is going to be of a major change, and probably we can also say that this is the one of the changes which this COVID has brought in amongst us. And I'm sure you guys are also taking a lot of, all the students out there are taking a lot of online classes, online exams, and there's a lot of things which are happening online today. So this is one kind of a revolution which we are going through, knowingly or unknowingly, and this is going to increase in the coming days, which means that the business that the uh, internet industry is going to be on a boom and give us more opportunities on the internet, through the internet industry. So I think that is it from my side. Probably we are open to take questions.
Sir, that is a very nice session from you. But I just have a question, sir, that I just came that popped into my head. Sir, I mean, you're saying that this can be an opportunity for our nation to strengthen our, I mean, our power at the global level, sir. But there are also, I mean, but how can we keep the population from the rural background also, I mean, engaged in the process? What can be a way? Because there are also a few sectors which are dependent on the rural background, like for example, agriculture and all, because those centers are something, it is difficult for them to have something like, work from home kind of thing. So how can they also be engaged in the process?
If you see, I mean, majorly, if you see during this pandemic, if there was any sector which was affected but affected very less, it was agriculture, because you need not follow physical distance over there, physical distancing over there, because basically you are the only one guy or a bunch of 10 guys working in a field, and you guys are all like, these guys are all scattered around. So you might not see a drastic change in agricultural system apart from the technology coming in, and the farm technology coming in. Uh, due to COVID, there, I don't think there was any much change in the agriculture, because in fact, even in Telangana, agriculture was seen as an essential services, and farmers were allowed to go and work in their fields irrespective of which day it was. That is because COVID, something like coronavirus will not, you must be knowing its nature, that only when you come in contact with person who is positive with this virus, and it's only then there's a possibility of transmission of this virus, but otherwise it is not. So in agriculture, I don't see immediate changes, especially I probably I can say that agriculture, technology in agriculture will develop, it will evolve, it has been happening, and it will evolve beyond this also, but not because of COVID. COVID has not, impacted the agricultural sector much.
Murli,
Thank you, sir.
you're able to see the questions on live chat. Diganta has asked one, and Dr. Srinath, or should I ask? Okay, let me begin
Sir,
with.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
yes, sir.
Murli, are you?
No, sir. I mean,
Yeah.
please go ahead.
One of our students is asking, what do you think about the undergraduate exams being held by OU in June? Because we are talking about digitalization and taking it forward, but instead of seizing this opportunity, they are again, they've scheduled, they are about to schedule, because the fee dates and all that have come, the physical exams like before. So what is your take on that? That's a question from one of our students.
So the educational system right now, I think it is too short for us to undergo any experiments, like you said, as the governments will have to scientifically have evidences, and also at the same time they need a certain amount of time to do any sort of experiments which they are sure that they will yield any results. So not just the graduation exams, but in fact also the uh, 10th class exams, which were halted halfway through, midway through, the remaining exams are again scheduled, and the students are expected to come and write the exam in person at the centers. So I think this, I'm sure the governments are thinking about having new, having some bringing in new methods to address this situation scenario. But I think this will be too early for any of the governments to come with a static or standard solution to this, rather than, and probably it is safe for any uh, organization or college or institution, university, to take up the traditional way of having the students come write the exam and go, rather than trying to experiment something just because uh, you know uh, because there was a virus, and probably we are evolving beyond it, not that we are not. So you can see the number of cases which have very drastically reduced, and we are a state where there are only a couple, the numbers are in double digits, the positive cases, and at the same time the discharge rate is also very high. So uh, we are not under major threat as a state, so having universities conduct exams for the students in person, I don't think it needs a change, sir, right now. They can go ahead with their old method itself.
Yeah, but at the same time, we also hear of some private universities having gone online already with their exams. So, but we need to keep rural students in mind, as you said. But then you were also talking about in this connection the digital imprint is extensive, including rural and semi-urban areas. So, don't you think we should seize this opportunity to move on to something which is
Neo
better?
technology.
a new system, and as they say, new normal. Probably education should also, be involved in it and experiment and see how best, because this would save a lot of man hours, a lot of people traveling, and uh, so maybe in the days to come. What's your take on that?
So already, when it comes to education and digitalization, in fact, the Telangana state government, I'm not talking on their behalf, but the Telangana state government has already implemented this. They have an entire TSAT
Hmm.
network through which they have online classes for every class, from class 6 to post graduation. Every subject, they have a timetable with which these classes are run and telecasted online on YouTube, and also on the on the television through Dish.
Okay.
So this is it is happening. At
Mhm.
the same time, it also, like, it has to increase, which I'm sure it will increase with the time to come.
Okay. There is another from another colleague of mine, Dr. Srinath. He says you have done a great detail about the current situation, but the question is, since all of us know that we have to live with the virus, what measures schools and colleges should proactively take to make it digital?
Make it digital.
Yes, a digital education.
Digitalization, with people who are above 18, it's easy, sir. But when it comes
Mhm.
to digitalization with minors, with children, it comes with added risks. And the institutions, parents, and also all of us need to be more careful when it comes to handing over our digital tools to children and teenagers,
Mm, mm.
because it's not just about just already they are we term them as the digital natives, as we say. They are
True.
the digital natives, and they are tech savvy. They very well know what happens with the technology.
Mm,
So in such situations, we need to be more careful about how we are catering our education, how we are catering education through technology. So uh, we need to work on this. And at the same time, uh, there are a few institutions which are asking their students to come online and take classes, but I somehow personally am against it, especially for school students, because it cannot happen without any parents guidance who are around them, because technology can be used in any way, and especially children of that age are prone to experiment and explore more than just stick themselves to education. So I personally feel that uh, unless a new policy or reform comes in about how to use technology for school education and college education, I don't think this is something we can jump into immediately. It comes
true.
with a
But
lot more
don't you think
responsibility,
they should
and
start planning, at least keeping this scenario
it
in
is
mind?
they are planning, sir. It's
Okay.
already it's already on cards,
Mhm.
and in the coming years we might just see this happening also very shortly.
Okay, that's good to know. And Michael sir has a question. He says already many companies are laying off their employees. Do you think as a nation we are prepared for it? See, what is the alternative now when it comes to people losing jobs and they don't find anything? And are we ready? That's a
So,
question from Michael sir to you.
sir, not just as a country, but as a world, we are not ready for layoffs, sir.
So,
Not just as a country, but I'll tell you, sir, that there are a few countries which emphasize more on entrepreneurship than employment. And this is where countries like China overtake countries like India. Uh, in a country like China, there's every person, every other person is an entrepreneur. Uh, they prefer being an entrepreneur first and then an employee. And this system has to change in our country, where you know people should, I mean, we as citizens, not just we shouldn't think about job securities only, which is important, but at the same time, we don't aim at becoming or transforming into an entrepreneur. So first, the first thing what comes to our mind, or in fact, what is fed to us also, is that we need to get a job. Getting a job is like settling down in life, in Indian scenario. But this has to change. People should start exploring entrepreneurship more, and aim less at being an employee. And this, I mean, it will take a lot of time. And I think maybe I hope this will be the opportunity where people realize that they need to aim more at entrepreneurship than just be an employee.
So there is another from a colleague who is here. Harpita is here with us, and she says online abuse and trolling is rampant in our country, particularly of journalists. The cyber laws rarely help in protecting them. What do you think this would mean for young journalists, upcoming journalists?
So cyberbullying it can happen to anyone and everyone. And as Amrita said, that there are the laws and the policies are there are a few loopholes, because of which it is difficult to have someone beyond the bars for cyber crimes. But this is one sector where the law enforcement agencies are working, and soon, in fact, various state governments were asked to given a documentation about what sort of reforms can be brought in to handle such situation. And also the government in recent times has sent out strict rules and regulations to various social media platforms like Twitter, Facebook, WhatsApp, uh, where there was a lot of fake news which was being spread. Not just fake news, but like this person said, the cyberbullying, fake news, and a lot of scams were happening. And government did step in. The union government did step in, and they have brought in new rules and regulations where where they made these social media platforms owners for the content which is being coming up on their platforms. This has led to a stricter policies of these platforms, and there is we see a lot of change in though we don't see a lot of change in the behavior of few people, but at the same time we see that these platforms have become more strict about cyberbullying and any online harassment, and they are acting swift on this. We are seeing results already, and they're going to get more rigid in the coming days.
Yeah, there is another question from our former student, Yashwant. Thank you, Yashwant, for being there and asking this question. He says, how do you think digitalization should play a major role in rural areas where there is not much of basic access to education? What?
So I want to clear one misconception over here. Um, Digitalization has got nothing to do with education. Today, a migrant worker who doesn't really know, uh, who's not very well educated, can use a smartphone with the language which he knows. I mean, you can use a smartphone in your own language. It might be Telugu, Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, or any other regional language at the same time, English. So, digitalization, education plays a bit of a role, but that's not the primary element which will drive the digitalization. So, and there are a lot of people who are uneducated, but at the same time, they are tech savvy. They are using mobile phones. They are using various other digital equipments, and they are on various platforms reporting to the governments and interacting with their peer groups. So there's a lot of activity happening in the rural areas. I'm talking about rural areas itself. And there are, in fact, if you go on Facebook, you can see a lot of farmer related pages which are on which you see content in Telugu, which are run in Telugu by the farmers. and you can join those groups. If you know the language, you can join those groups. You can um, you know watch their videos, their pictures. You can take see what kind of work they're doing. The farmers, not just farmers, but also MSMEs and various other uh, you know uh, businesses which are run on rural run business platforms. They have their presence on social media platforms, and also they use digital. They are pretty much digital. uh, so education will is not a primary of a primary importance to for a person to be digitally or tech savvy.
Thank you. Hope that answered that question. And Katie sir has a question. Thank you, Katie, for asking this question. He says, how long, in your opinion, it will take for the industry to get back to the normal, as especially when the virus spreading so fast? And
So we did expect a spike in the uh, the virus being hit huge, the virus hitting huge numbers, especially in times like in the months of June and July. So everyone is prepared, and as industries are already up and running slightly. I mean, they are getting back to business slowly. So for them to run full-fledged operations, it might take a couple of more months. But otherwise, they are already running virtually. They're taking a lot of decisions, and in fact, a lot of conferences, a lot of summits are also happening. Business summits are happening virtually, and in fact. The Times of India is running a Reboost Telangana summit, which is begun today, and it is going to happen for 5 days. So where all the global leaders, industry leaders, and bureaucrats are going to share their thoughts and ideas upon how to get back to business and how to have their industries run again. They're already there. They're working. It's just about matter of time for them to come back and run in a full-fledged manner.
yeah, Murli has a question. So, Murli, go ahead.
So yeah, yes, sir. So basically, so this question is asked by a student named Gayatri from the Department of Management. So she says that when we say work from home is good and the performance has increased, but don't we think long working hours on digital can lead to a lot of mental disorders?
I completely agree with that. There are a lot of mental disorders which a lot of people are complaining, and there are a lot of people who don't even realize that that is happening to them. Uh, and but it is actually happening to them. It is leaving a lot of mental stress on them, and this has to be addressed. And for which a few organizations have set up uh, have they did set up online counseling for their employees. A few sensible industries have done that already, and this is something which all the in fact every industry should do. Care about their employees' mental health, which is very important, and it is having an impact, as you said, and this has to be addressed. And this is a very crucial. And thank you so much for asking this question. This is a very important, crucial thing which has to be addressed, and we hope the industries, most of the industries being private, we hope the industries do take up mental health of their employees as a critical thing, and have online counseling for them, whoever is needing it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Couple of questions more before we close. One is from Diganta, who is here. He says, do you think working from home and online education will lead to inefficiency?
I don't think so. In fact, I feel a person will become more efficient working from home, uh, because it all depends upon individually also. But at the same time, if you can see the good part about it, you are all this also answers to the previous question about mental health. You are spending time with your family. You are working at the same time. You are attending people. You are attending functions. You are celebrating festivals with your family. And I think what can be more being at the same time, while all this is happening, you are working. So I don't think it can be anything more productive than this, uh, if you work from home. Because if you are not working from home, you need to take an off. If your office doesn't give you an off on a festival, you need to take an off. You go to work, but you don't really concentrate over there because you have all your relatives at your home, and they are having a good time and you're not. So it's, and various other things, you invest on time, energy, money. So there are a lot of things which happen. I mean, going to office is important, but at the same time, on an important day of yours, if your office doesn't give you an off, then your productivity will reduce because you're not giving your 100% in spite of going to office. So rather, if you're working from home, you give your 100% to your work. You also have a personal and official, personal and professional life balance. So I don't see work from home as anything of a less productivity.
Okay, there is another from again from Dr. Srinath. He says, in this scenario, many industries are affected. Do you think this is a better opportunity for the development of agricultural sector rather than distilleries and liquor industry and things like that?
So we already are, as a country, 75% of our population is still into 70% of our population is still into agriculture, and the rest of us are into various other sectors. So there is a scope. I mean, rather than we thinking about should we give more importance to agriculture or should we give more importance to the sectors which are already existing, probably between these two, probably we should be little more innovative and think of new businesses, new business ideas, and new evolutions for us to work upon as a country, because we are still a developing country, and jumping from IT to agriculture, or from agriculture to some other industry, it doesn't help us on a larger scale. So on a larger picture, I feel we should think about new sectors altogether. Maybe tourism, if not right now, but at least after a couple of years, probably tourism sector or food industry sector, food production, food processing. These are the sectors which we need to give more importance to, not to escape from agriculture or not to escape from IT or industries or any other sector, but altogether give a new opportunity to our people in a new sector altogether. Exploring new ventures is something which we should aim at.
Thank you. Is there any other question from here? Otherwise, we would ask Diganta to make his vote of thanks. Is there any other question? Thank you, Harsha, that it's been such a wonderful session hearing from you. And we've been having people, alumni from across, from a couple of other countries as well in the past days, and from the sector, NGO sector and the private sector. And though you're not representing the government today, but it's a fact that you're part of that setup. So I think that gave us a slightly different perspective as well. So thank you so much. Over to Diganta for his closing remarks.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, Harsha, sir, for these amazing insights. And I hope all the budding journalists will gain some knowledge and apply it in real world scenarios. I take this privilege to thank our HOD, Joseph Custodos, sir, and our faculty members and my fellow viewers. Thank you, Harsha Sai, sir, once again for taking some time from your busy schedule.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you. And it's such a pleasure having you this